and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're already part of the Sprinkle Squad. I'm so happy to see you again, and I hope everyone is having a super wonderful day today. And today we're actually doing something kind of fun. I decided that I just wanted to renovate one of the base game Willow Creek homes. So this is the Daisy Hovel lot, which is probably something that you are familiar with if you're somebody that plays in Willow Creek. It's just one of those, like, I think it's technically a starter home, but I can't actually remember. But what I wanted to do was actually do kind of like a true renovation, in the sense that I tried not to do anything super extreme. Like, I changed the colors of the windows because I figured you could paint your windows. Maybe changed out the fence. Like, you could probably replace the fencing, that kind of thing. And I honestly had the idea that this was a cute little family home, and they decided to actually add a small addition in the back, which you can kind of see I've already placed there, which I kind of really love the idea of, that maybe like they rent that out with, like, I guess if you have for rent, you can do the rental thing, but basically maybe one of the parents actually lives with them. So whether this is like a single mom and like one of their parents lives with them, or both of them for that matter, and that's what they hang out here. Honestly, I thought that maybe it was someone's mom that lived here with them, and that the mom was actually really into painting. So we do end up putting like an easel back there, and I also put I try to make it a little more artistic. I know that sounds really weird, but like the bed is one of those like special beds that you can only get, I think, in the artist's career, if I remember correctly, or maybe it's an aspiration unlock. But anyways, it's the one that has like the swirly blue and yellow, and I thought it was really pretty. And it's one of the last things I actually decorate, so I'm talking about it and I'm not even there yet. But I just thought it was a really cute idea that this was like a small little family home, and they have like an in-law like apartment in the back. And I just maybe the parents go to work, and the grandmother or grandfather, whoever, actually stays home with the kid. And I just thought it was a super adorable. And again, this is a base game only build, so this is already up on the Sims 4 gallery if you want it, under my ID spicensprinkles, which is all one word, all lowercase, and down in the description if you want to see it written out. And as always, if you want to download it and you need to alter it for your gameplay, that kind of thing, please feel free to do so. Or if you have more packs, you can of course change out items, that kind of thing. Just be sure to have bb.move objects on when you place it, because I always use that when I build. It basically just makes it to where the game will let you put items close together that aren't usually allowed to be close together, if that makes sense. So I did want to put like a little driveway here, and I figured like 2 cars would be really cute. Like maybe it was like the parents, and then maybe the grandparents like have a car there. And again, I know that it's like not useful, like we don't actually have working cars in The Sims 4, but I just think it just adds like a bit of realism, which I try to do with my builds. I feel like that's kind of like, I love cluttering my builds. Like, honestly, I just can't help myself. And I try to do it somewhat realistically, at least realistic to like real life. Maybe not The Sims. Like I said, like the cars, or like putting like a mirror by the front door so they can look like themselves before they leave. Like, your Sims don't do that, but I like the idea that like in real life you would. And I did go into debug to get some of this landscaping, which is honestly a huge tip. So if you're someone that's newer to building or new to The Sims, so debug is basically, it's a cheat you put in. I think it's, oh my goodness, I actually have a mod that automatically puts it on for me. So off the top of my head, I'm trying to remember exactly what it is. I think it's bb.show live edit objects and bb.show, oh my goodness, there's another one. There's 2 of them. I'm blanking so hard. If you just actually Google how to get into debug, you can find those 2 cheat codes. And I've been so spoiled that I have I think it's Twisted Mexi Better Build By mod that allows me to actually just have those on all of the time, which honestly I highly recommend, even if you're not somebody who's into like mods for your game. If you're someone that loves building, it is so helpful. And I know that's like totally random and totally aside, but I like to give like those creators shout outs, because like honestly, it changed the game for me to have that mod in there. And I honestly really brought that green, so I used like green like vinyl kind of paneling on the outside, and I brought that inside the house as well. So there's a lot of green in here. You're gonna see a lot of that sagey base game green on a lot of the items, which I apologize. I like to swap it up, but there's going to be a lot because that's like, obviously I'm only using base game, and that green, like I wanted them to actually match like all of the swatches. So I did also try to, again, add clutter in here. I end up putting like a little mirror off to the side, like that I thought maybe their kid used. And I just thought it was really cute to have that little space there. And this house, actually, the main house is a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom. And then the little like house out back is a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom. So honestly, we pack a lot of stuff into that house back there, but I also wanted just to include a lot of little like things for like having a kid, like having that little basket there by the shower so that, you know, your sim can like have toys when they're in the bath, that kind of thing. And you may have also just seen that I just took I think it was a bar stool, and sized it down and put it next to next to the counter, which I know that sounds really odd. I actually don't even know if it's functional in terms of like, I don't know if your sim's going to try to sit on that, but the reason I wanted to put that there was I thought it'd be really cute. Like it's like a little step stool for the kid kind of thing. And like, again, just trying to do that kind of more realistic, because I feel like it's not uncommon for people to have little step stools by the sink so, you know, the kid can wash their hands, that kind of thing, because obviously sinks are taller than a kid would be able to use. And then for the parent or parent's bedroom, however you choose to like play with this home, I really tried to just do the like black, white, and that green color in here. And I feel like I went back and forth a lot, to be honest. I think I end up changing out whatever art I originally put in here above the bed. I do change out. I was trying to do some experimenting with different pieces, but it just kind of looked a little funny. And so it took me a minute because, again, just using base game, even using debug, there's not as many art options. I know I've seen some like insane stuff people have created with debug items. So like, I'm sure there's stuff out there. I also know that if you go on the Sims 4 gallery, you can download like rooms that like creators have made and uploaded that have art on them. So that's just a tip if you are just playing on your own and you only have base game, or frankly, it doesn't matter however many packs you have. If you go on the gallery and you just like look for artwork, you can type in like different aesthetics you might be looking for. And then people have basically had their Sims paint things that aren't technically in the game and like recreated it and put it in the game so you can get it. And the reason I didn't use it here though is because sometimes it will flag it as custom content. And so I didn't want to include it in my build and then there'd be an issue on the gallery when you try to download it. Like either A, maybe you can't find it because it's tagged with custom content, or the stuff gets deleted because it sees as custom content and gets rid of it. However, if you would like to download it, like I said, and add in whatever art you want to, please feel free to do so. And I just like to give those kind of little tips out if you're somebody that's newer to The Sims. And I feel like when I'm on my own, like playing, sometimes I will do that just to add stuff in. I don't really have very much custom content in terms of building, just because I do upload to the gallery. That's kind of like all I do on this channel. But like for gameplay, I do have some like CAS CC, which is so much fun to use, to be honest. But since I don't really upload Sims, you know, I don't really worry about that too much. But in here, since this is base game, like there are no changing tables, which I still think is a crime. I feel like we really need changing tables in the base game. But nevertheless, I created a fake one. So I basically took a dresser and raised up an ottoman. So it kind of looked like that like changing table kind of feel, and then use some of that newer clutter that we got with the infant update and put that over there so it kind of looks like a changing table. And then as they grow up, you can actually use it as a functional dresser, that kind of thing. But I just thought it was just a cute little touch to have that. And I also can just put clutter in front of it and it doesn't matter because your sim doesn't actually have to be able to get to it, if that makes sense. But I wanted to put like a little chair in the corner, and this little cloud shelf was so cute. I always forget it exists because it has like the default one, I think, so one with the rainbow, and I just don't even think about having a cute little cloud swatch. So I was able to use that in here, and I'm hoping that that room is actually also really functional when the kid starts aging up. So this would be maybe for an infant, and then like for the toddler, you know, you can swap out and use a toddler bed instead. And I will say that there's like I think there's like one thing I feel like that I did that's maybe not so realistic when it comes to renovating. I believe, if I remember correctly, I think I get rid of a window because it was making me so crazy trying to figure out this floor plan. And because I really loved the rest of the floor plan, so I've just had to figure out how to get a dining space, a kitchen, and a living space all into this small area. And the kitchen, I think I end up getting rid of a window or moving it or something, because this window is It's a little frustrating because it's like in between tiles. And so I really like wanted to put the stove not next to the fridge so that it could have like the hood over it and everything, but I can't put the hood over it if there's like the window there. It didn't look quite right. So we figure it out, but I think I end up just kind of moving it over. I just said, you know what, it's gonna be fine. We're just gonna pretend like that's okay. And that was a realistic thing to do. And then, yeah, I think I ended up just getting rid of it altogether because I was like, I don't know, I kind of like the look of it without it, especially since we have that double window there above the sink. I always like the idea of being able to like be at the sink and see out the window. Like I imagine like doing dishes and stuff like that, and you want to be able to see out, which I always just think is so cute. And I feel like maybe it's just something I like, so I do it all of the time. But I just really wanted the sink to be over there. And what I did was add in this little table here, kind of like a fake island kind of thing. And because I really wanted something there, but there wasn't enough space to really truly put an island. So I kind of used that little table instead, and somewhere that we can add some clutter. And of course we put in a fruit bowl and this little like cake server cover. Why can't I think of the name for that at this moment in time? But just having that little bit of clutter in there. And I did leave one of the counters open so that your sim can actually have room to cook. And I also wanted to mention that I think in a recent build I did that I just left a corner counter open, which your Sims can cook on a corner counter. It doesn't like, it feels like they wouldn't be able to, but they can. And I just wanted to mention that in case you ever see that from anybody else that builds, or so that you can use that in your own build. So if you're trying to do something that's like really small, that is still usable space for your Sim, just so long as there's nothing on the counter, if that makes sense. And I wanted to be sure that the table that we had here in the dining space has enough room for two parents, a kid, and the in-law. Because again, I was thinking maybe just one parent was living in there, although there is room for two out in that little like in-law apartment in the back. But I wanted to be sure there was like a decent amount of seating here so that they could come over and have dinner, like, and that kind of thing. And I definitely dove a lot into the debug artwork, which is like not something I do super often, but I really wanted to kind of have some extra stuff at my disposal here. And I end up putting that cute little panda bear in here for the kid to sit on. Like, I just thought that was so adorable because a regular chair I felt like was a little bit squeezed in there, but like a little kid chair just sounded just so cute to have over there. Like they can all hang out here in the living room. And I will say, I'm trying to remember now. I think I don't remember if I take that fireplace out or not at the end, because I realized, and I do this all of the time, I'm so bad about putting a coffee table too close to the fireplace. Like, I don't know why, but it is so hard for me to remember that your sim actually has to be able to get to the fireplace to light the fireplace. I know that sounds so silly, like duh, but I always forget about that. So I can't remember if we just scoot. I think we end up maybe just scooting everything back so your sim can actually get to it, I believe. And this hasn't play tested, so I'm hoping you don't have any issues if you download it. I know the gallery still does kind of whatever it wants to when it comes to like, it works on someone's computer, but then it doesn't work on somebody else's. So hopefully you don't have any issues here. And then I did actually add in that leaf wallpaper, which I think worked a whole lot better and I felt a lot better about. I actually didn't even realize that was actually like part of base game. I always feel like that's part of, was it Jungle Adventure or Island Living? I feel like I always think that's in Island Living, but it's totally not. It is in base game. And I did double check when I uploaded it to the gallery that it didn't have any packs on it, so you shouldn't have any issues. And like I said, I wanted the in-law to maybe be into art, so I put the little easel out there for them. And I did it again. I made this yard very lush, and honestly, if it was real life, very hard to take care of, but I did it anyways because I love doing it. I feel like doing these really intricate, I don't want to say intricate, I guess yards that have just a lot of like stuff in it, like I really enjoy doing it. I feel like you know, you get in the zone and it's just kind of like a really zen thing for me to do. And so I really wanted to create this really nice pathway that connected the two houses and things like that. And of course I say that this is a realistic renovation, but I guess to be specific, it wouldn't be a cheap renovation. If this is something you did to your house and you wanted to add like an apartment in the back, like it wouldn't necessarily be cheap, but technically is definitely doable, if that makes sense. And I wanted to add like this little fountain in front of the house, and I just thought it was so cute. Like they really just wanted to have a nice space there for the grandparents to come and hang out with them and the kid. And I feel like, you really could squeeze more than one kid into that room if you wanted to, especially if you just put more like kid stuff elsewhere in the build, as they get older, if your Sims want, another kid. And I actually I really wasn't sure what I was going to do with the space behind the house. Like I was really back and forth about it, which is why I'm kind of like avoiding it. But what I actually end up doing is putting a pool back there, which I thought would be really fun for your Sims to be able to do as well. And I do end up sticking a chess table kind of in the middle of there. And I actually think it looks pretty cool because there's just a lot of open space. And I think it kind of fit really nicely in there because I do try to also include some nice skill building items so your Sims can like do whatever they need to do for their career. Obviously those can be swapped out as well if your Sim doesn't like need the chess table, but they need like something else. And I had such a good time with this, to be honest. And I feel like I want to do more renovations like this. I actually have a save file that is literally just for renovations that I put all of my renovated builds in. So I usually don't necessarily make them a pack specific or anything like that, but I figured since this is a base game reno that I should actually use just the base game, which I think turned out really nicely, honestly. And I feel like a lot of times I'm surprised at how much you can do with base game, because I feel like sometimes it seems very limiting just to use base game, but I really think you can do a lot, especially if you get into debug and everything. I will say too that the tree that I put in the back, I love it a lot, but it really kind of got in the way sometimes. So it also doesn't hurt my feelings if you end up getting rid of that, if you were to download it, if it gets on your nerves for it to be there. But I also put in this little like wedding arch. I do know it's a wedding arch, so your Sims could get married back here, but I thought it was so cute to have it like over that little walkway that led to the swimming pool. I just thought it was really cute, but you can take it out if you don't like it, or your Sims can get married under it, but I just thought it was a nice little touch to add. And then I did sit here and like actually raise up the little like lawn lights. I like to do that actually with these fences in particular, the ones that have those really like large posts, because they sit really nicely on top and it just helps illuminate. I'm really big about having enough lighting too outside, so if like it's nighttime, your lot is still really well lit, just because I think it's really pretty. And I feel like that's honestly how I am with my own house, like not to this extent, but I do like leaving some outside lights on, like my porch lights and stuff like that when it's nighttime. But I feel like that's something that's also just something I do, so it transfers into my game and into my builds. But I also wanted to mention, if you want to see particular builds or ideas or renovations, that kind of thing, or if there's particular items that you want to challenge me to use, let me know in the comments. I do have one that I know I need to do. Actually, I forgot. I think it was a specific like door and a specific swatch somebody gave me, and I literally have it written down on a post-it note on my desk. So I actually already have an idea too of what I want to do for that build. I just need to do it like when I actually, because I feel like it might take me some time to do, so it's gonna be one of those kinds of builds, but I'm excited to do it. And I also, on that note, I'm in the middle of working on a giant castle build as well. It was supposed to be a tiny castle, but I'm finally using that kit that came out, and yeah, it's a lot bigger than I thought, so that's going to take me a little bit to actually finish. I think I posted like a work in progress like photo on my Discord, and I was like, it'll be out soon, so it will be. I'm hoping, my guess is probably next week, maybe later this week, but probably next week it'll be out, just because it's going to be a long one, and then it's going to be a long voiceover to go with it. But I think it's going to look so amazing. I'm actually really excited about it. And I will say that that build's not going to be a limited pack build, but I just kind of focused on the castle pack that we got. And like I said, I figured that this sim is really into art, so I used that like art bed, and I tried to use a lot of art around. And I will say that like the interior of this like in-law apartment is what I guess I'm going to keep calling it. It really is supposed to fit the sim living there, so it doesn't necessarily fit like the main house aesthetic. They really kind of built this and designed this around their parent in particular, which I just thought was so cute. And we do actually end up putting a lot of stuff in this little space. I actually don't know how many tiles this home is, but I feel like it definitely would be considered, well, this little one over here would probably be considered like a small home or something. I don't think it'll be a micro home, maybe a tiny home, but I feel like I need to actually use this floor plan for a tiny home, because I actually actually really like the way it turned out, because we actually have a pretty large kitchen there in the back and a full like bathroom. I will say the bathroom was difficult for me because I was really attached to having that window there on the front of the building, which I feel like I get myself in trouble when I do that, when I decide this is where I want the windows to be and that's just going to be the way it is. I feel like it always gets me in trouble because then it's harder for me to figure out where I'm going to put stuff in my floor plan. But I think it worked out really nicely here, and I think it ended up looking really cute. And I did test it. Your sim can get around the sink and the toilet and everything, so you shouldn't have any problems with that. And I was a little bit worried, to be honest, but it did work out for us. So we're totally fine when it comes to this bathroom. And using this really pretty like blue chandelier, so I really had a lot of like blue and yellow like kind of muted colors, and I used this kind of like classic like countertop, which I thought ended up being really cute. And I believe I actually take out the fireplace because again I ran into that issue of wanting like a coffee table or something, and it was too small. The area was just a little bit too small. So I ended up taking that out and I think replacing it. I forgot with what piece of furniture exactly because I remember going back and forth a lot. I don't know if I actually kept the footage in or not, but I like did a lot of swapping around of items in here to make sure everything fit. And I definitely had to test this one because I really was worried about the living room. But I think the kitchen turned out super cute, and like I actually really like it. I don't know why, but I feel like I want to use that kitchen layout, and I feel like I don't use like that base game counter very often, but I actually really like that swatch. I think that was really pretty. Like that wood tone is really lovely, and I feel like I need to use that. So I also put like a cute little dining area in here as well. So whether their parents just like wanting to be on their own and like in this space, or whether they maybe have like their friends over or something, like they really do have their own full space. Like I know there's like 2 kitchens now in this house, but I really wanted it to be like they really have their own space and not just a bedroom. And then we put like a little like entranceway over here and like this really beautiful mirror. I feel like the mirror, that swatch worked so well with like the rest of the colors in this apartment, to be honest. Like I actually am really surprised, and I used that little like rooster painting, which I thought worked really cute in here too. Again, just trying to use, you know, some of the artwork I guess I don't usually use in here. And then I did end up putting, I was very back and forth about what to put in the bedroom there on that wall. So I included, I think I leave that picture, and I figured maybe that's like the mom that's living there and is like, that's like an old picture of her or something. And of course you can swap that picture and it can kind of be whoever, but I just thought that was kind of a cute idea to have that in there. And I really did try to keep that fireplace, but it just wasn't working. I think I end up sizing down an ottoman to put underneath that bookcase over there. So that ottoman I don't believe is going to be functional, but I just thought it looked really nice over there. So you'll see me add that there in a little bit. And just having, again, like a sculpture and things like that in here, because it really felt like it suited what I imagined the sim was living here. Sometimes I think about exactly what kind of sim's gonna live somewhere, and sometimes I honestly don't. And I feel like at least for this part of the build, I was really thinking about the kind of sim that would be here. And then I end up just putting like a small TV in here because I figured they didn't necessarily need a big one, and maybe they're not super into it. I also think it'd be really cute if you added like the knitting stuff in here too, if you do have the nifty knitting kit. It's not a kit, it's a stuff pack. Oh my gosh, we have way too many packs, so I can't even like remember anymore. So just finishing up here with a little bit of clutter. Of course, another fruit bowl because I just couldn't help myself. We need them absolutely everywhere. I feel like it completes the kitchen now. And then just adding in some terrain paint. But if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And I hope you have a really sweet day. Bye everybody.